Good morning. This is Ms. Billerbeck, and we are going to talk about order of operations today. So I am going to share my screen, and let's look at this. Okay, so we have order of operations. You might know them as Pemdas, parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. So parentheses are grouping symbols. So parentheses could look like these parentheses. They could be brackets. They could be absolute value signs. So parentheses are always done first. Next, what we do is exponents. So exponents is when we have something with an exponent, a superscript number. Okay, so then we do multiplication or division depending on which one occurs first when we look from left to right. So there's a rule from left to right. So we read from left to right in the United States. So when we solve with the order of operations, we read our mathematical sentences from the left to the right. So if division happens first, we do division. If multiplication happens first, we do multiplication. So whatever comes first as we read the equation or mathematical sentence from left to right, we do first. Addition and subtraction are the same. We also have to follow the rule of left to right. So they're the same, they're equal as far as the weight. Just like multiplication and division are equal with each other, addition and subtraction are equal with each other as far as whatever happens first when we read from left to right, we do first. All right, so let's start doing some examples. Go back to this. Oops, sorry, wrong thing. Okay, so let me go back to my screen. There we go. All right, so if I have an example, here I have parentheses, so I'm going to work with these parentheses first. So 3 minus 9 would be -6 times 4 plus 5. So I did the parentheses first, and now multiplication is is before addition. So I do multiplication. So the next thing I do is -24 plus 5, because -6 times 4 is -24 plus 5. And my final answer will be -19, because -24 plus 5 is -19. If I were to do this, I have to do both parentheses first before I address this multiplication sign. So 5 minus 12 is -7 times, and 3 minus 5 is -2. Well, I have two negatives cancel each other out. So anytime I have an equal amount of negatives, an even amount of negatives, they cancel out. If I have one negative, it carries through. Okay, but as soon as I have two, they cancel out. So this would be a positive 14. Okay, so here I have 9 divided by the quantity 5 minus 2 times 4. So I do my parentheses first. So I have 9 divided by, and 5 minus 2 is 3, times 4. Now I use the rule of left to right. So I'm reading from left to right this direction. And so I do 9 divided by 3, which is 3, times 4, and then my final answer then is 12. Okay, if I had done it the other way, I would have had 9 divided by 12, which ends up in 3/4. I would have gotten a very bad answer. Okay, so we have to use the rule of left to right when we have division and multiplication in a mathematical sentence or an expression or an equation. So on this, we have the quantity 14 divided by 7 times 3, and then that quantity is squared minus 26. Well, we have to deal with this part inside the parentheses first. As we read from left to right, the division happens first. So the first thing we do is 2 times 3 squared minus 26. So 2 times 3 is in parentheses, so we do that first. So we have 6 squared minus 26. And then 6 squared is 36 minus 26, and then we just get 10. So that's how we do that. Okay, let's try some other ones. All right, so I have a lot in parentheses, so I have to do this, but I have 10 minus 4 times 3 in parentheses plus 7. Well, I don't do 10 minus 4 first, okay? Subtraction is way down the list in order of operations. It's one of the last things you do, addition and subtraction, the last few things you do. So multiplication happens before subtraction. So that's why we have to do this. 4 times 3, which is 12, plus 7. And now 10 minus 12 is negative 2 plus 7, and we get our final answer of 5. Now, had we done that wrong, we would have had 6 times 3 in those parentheses plus 7, which would have been 18 plus 7, and then we would have gotten 25, and that would have been wrong. Okay, so we have to do the multiplication first. All right, when we look at this expression, we have 2 cubed times the quantity 7 minus 4 divided by 12 minus 1. All right, so we have parentheses. We do that first. So we have 2 cubed times 7 minus 4 is 3 divided by 12 minus 1. The next thing we do is exponents. So Pemdas, parentheses, exponents, multiplication and division are equal, addition, subtraction are equal. So 2 cubed is the same thing as 2 times 2 times 2, which is 4 times 2, which is 8. So I have 8 times 3 divided by 12 minus 1. Now I read from left to right. Multiplication happens first, so I do it first. So I have 24 divided by 12 minus 1. So 24 divided by 12 is 2 minus 1, and 2 minus 1 is just 1. Okay? So if we just follow the rules of operation, we just step by step work through the problems. And we have these rules so that we don't come up with several different answers for the same expression. All right, so this one, we have 3 minus 2 times the quantity 5 plus 1 divided by 4. All right, so first we do the parentheses. So we have 3 minus 2 times, and 5 plus 1 is 6, divided by 4. All right, so we're still going from left to right. We do multiplication first. If I have 2 and then times like written like that, that's still multiplication. So we still do it first because that happened before the division when we read left to right. So we have minus 12 divided by 4. So division supersedes subtraction, so it comes first. So we have 3 minus, and then 12 divided by 4 is 3. So 3 minus 3 is just 0. Believe it or not, that was just 0. Okay, so now let's do this one. Oh, and by the way, on this one, the most common error would be to do 3 minus 2, which would be 1, and then 5 plus 1 divided by 4. So then you end up 1 times 6 divided by 4, which would be 6 divided by 4. And then that would just be 3 halves. So that would have been the wrong thing to do. Okay, so that's the number one mistake right here, is to do the subtraction because it happens first. But we have our operations. We have things that are done before subtraction. So we have to remember, even if subtraction comes first, we don't do it first. Okay, just like if we have addition here, we don't do that first. So 5 plus 4 times the quantity 7 minus 11 plus 4 squared. So we have 5 plus 4, and 7 minus 11 is negative 4 plus 4 squared. Okay, so we did the parentheses. Now we have to do exponents. So we have exponents here. 4 times 4 is 16. So we have 5 plus 4 times negative 4 plus 16. Now we look, we see we have multiplication we have to do. So 4 times negative 4 would just be negative 16. And then, you know, at this point we can do this first, but we see negative 16 plus 16 is 0, so we're going to end up with 5. But 5 minus 16 is negative 9 plus 16. Oops, sorry, that's not 9. Silly me. 5 minus 16 is negative 11 plus 16, and we have 5. All right, there you go. So, and that's what we were expecting to get, because negative 16 plus 16 zeros each other out. All right, so that's it for order of operations. I hope that helps. You have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.